Yeah, it's on right now.
That's teachers just wanting to get paid but not have to deal with kids.
Nice pass. We'll
Just as a reminder, please mute yourself as you enter. And then also stay muted until you want to ask a question. If you have some questions, you can also chat them if you're having connectivity problems, but please mute yourself as you enter. We'll get started here shortly.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
I tried a few places, but
here, this is for the
it seemed like
football stuff.
All right, please mute yourself as you enter here. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day and joining us. My name is Rich Schneider. I'm the superintendent here at YME. We know you have a busy schedule, so I'll try and go through this as quickly as possible. If you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and then speak. We'll review a few things before we go through questions, so we'll try and address as many questions ahead of time as possible. You can also chat. I will try and keep up with reading the chat as we go here, see if I can multitask. Remember, our goal for everyone is to keep everybody safe and do the best we can to provide as many academic and activity opportunities for students as we can. We know that this has been a challenge for all families. We know it's impacting you in a multitude of ways, and we want to be cognizant of this, but we want to do what we can to keep our students in school and then keep activities going also. So about a week and a half ago, we were informed that from the Department of Health that a 30-minute bus ride would cause all of the students on there, if there were a positive case, a 30-minute bus ride would cause us to quarantine everyone on the bus, including the bus drivers. So we don't have many trips, and that's 30 minutes cumulative. We don't have many trips that are within or under 15 minutes one way. And that could be impacted that maybe it's a short one-way trip and then you as a parent would bring them back the other way. But this is not required. We are not requiring any transportation. We have the transportation set up and we will provide that. But we believe that this is one thing that could cause a smaller number of people to have to be quarantined. We also understand that there's practice time when people are working together that also could impact this. And so we know that this is not the holy grail. We know this is not the single answer to keeping all of our students eligible and out of quarantine. So please understand that we are cognizant of that. Students will not transport themselves. Tim will review a little bit more of that here in a second. We will discourage carpooling, but we also understand that that is a possibility, that maybe if students would get into the same vehicle with a parent and transport them, but that decreases the risk of that transmission or the quarantine too. We will not compensate or provide any liability for this transportation. We're not capable. So please understand that bus transportation will always continue to be available to your students and the athletes. The driver must be at least 21 years of age, and the athlete themselves cannot drive. Even though they could be of age, 18 years old, they cannot drive. And that's our rules, and that's what most schools are doing. So, Tim, do you want to add something into that?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I think Rich has hit the main points, that it is a choice of yours. Obviously, like he said, there'll be a bus that goes to every one of the games at every level. You can certainly choose to use that. One thing that you're going to get from our office, it'll either come from Alyssa or myself, will be it's actually a survey, but it'll serve as a waiver here that we're going to need on file. So if you choose to transport your own child to and from or to an event, we are going to require, like we mostly do or always have, some sort of a assumption of risk, a waiver where you understand what's going on. We got to have that on file. So you look for that tomorrow. It'll be a link. If you don't plan on transporting your own child, don't fill it out. If you think there's a chance that you're going to transport your child to a game, go ahead and fill it out. It should be fairly simple. That list will be shared with coaches so that we know who may or may not be traveling on the bus. They'll take that a step further, and coaches, before each away game for football, you're usually talking one every other week. We'll do some surveying probably early in the week and certainly the day before they leave so that they have a good idea of who's going to be on the bus, who's not going to be on the bus. I know I talked to Dave a little bit at the varsity level, and one of the things that gives coaches a little bit of angst about not having everybody on the bus is getting them there at the right time, making sure they have their equipment, all those types of things. So coaches may take it one step further. I know he talked about having a plan where those that choose to drive with a parent or ride with a parent might be asked to meet in the parking lot at a certain time, 10 minutes before departure, follow the bus over so that everybody gets their stuff together, ends up at Lacoparo, for example, at the same time, and it's as normal as we can make it under the circumstances. So again, look for that. It'll be a email. It'll go out to your primary contact under JMC. Just take a look at it if you've got any questions. Like I said, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll ask for an electronic signature, and we understand it's a 180 from what we normally suggest. Typically, we really want kids on the bus, both to and from. Obviously, with COVID, we're making some adjustments. So if you've got questions about that tomorrow after you receive it, not sure what we're looking for or whether you should turn it in, just shoot me an email, and I will. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Question came up during the volleyball meeting, and it was if they were to change their mind. So they turn in the waiver. And because one of the questions on there is if you're going to carpool, probably talking about maybe some of the younger kids or the older kids, but one of them asks, like, who are you going to give permission to transport your child? And you may know, that a couple of buddies are going to go together, or maybe grandpa's got to take them one time. And halfway through the season, you don't have an approved person on your list. That'd be a situation where anytime you want to amend it, or if you didn't turn it in immediately and halfway through the year, you decide, yep, we're going to transport our kid. Just ask for that link again. We'll send it out. You can either update the one that you had on file, or you can fill it out for the first time 3 weeks from now, just so that we have an idea. Like I said, we have to have that on file before we're going to sign off on you driving your kids over. So.
I was just gonna quick chime in there because I did discuss that with Mr. Knapper earlier today, and this Friday, for example, I can turn on my video too. I don't know what, I just got done with practice, so I might look kind of rough. Sorry. But we are planning on, if you intend to drive your football player over to Lacoparo, we'd love to meet in the parking lot and follow the bus over so that we can all arrive there at the same time and do warm-ups like we would normally do them as a team. And I will get a more specific time to you on that probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll either email it out through JMC or I'll send it home with your football players, what the exact time is going to be. But yeah, that's the plan for football anyway. for driving over there. So I hope that's okay with everybody.
Thank you.
We realize we've got different levels, JV games will be, maybe a similar situation. Obviously junior high, different situation as well. And we can talk about some more specifics as far as it won't be hard for us to spit out a bus leave time again, so that everybody's kind of on the same page. Also, when coaches would like players to arrive at the field. Most of you, anybody that's had kids in summer baseball or softball, it's not a whole lot different than that. We're going to talk about football tickets. I know that's on your minds. I've gotten a lot of emails and a few phone calls about that eventually. At the end of this meeting for those of you who are interested, but it's a little bit easier sell for us in football than it is in volleyball, because one thing I can guarantee you is that if you're transporting your kid to the game, you should be able to get in. All of our lower level games, nobody's going to be selling tickets. Typically there isn't 250 people at a junior high or a JV game, so we shouldn't run into any issues there. And then as far as varsity goes, we'll talk about tickets and how that's going to work here once. I guess I'd rather field any questions on the travel request or option, I guess I should say, before we get into tickets.
So feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions, or you can send them to me in chat. And I can try and address them. Okay, I'm going to take this that Tim, they're anxious about the tickets. So you want to kind of review that?
Yeah, and just before we move on, and I've fielded some questions about the travel, and I know everybody has thoughts about it, but just to reiterate that it is a choice. If you choose to send your kid on the bus, not a big deal. And obviously, if you choose to spread people out and drive them yourselves, that's a choice we're looking for as well. So at this point, I'm going to talk about football tickets. So if you are a junior high parent, it really doesn't affect you. 9th through 12th graders, if you want to stick around and listen to it, it's going to have some ramifications on you. So junior high parents, if you want to leave the meeting, I won't be offended. If you want to stick around and listen, that's fine too. So Dave, you can jump in if I forget anything. I've just got a few bullet points here. This has been a hot topic. Everybody has kind of heard that we're limited to 250 fans. There are certain groups that we have to count in that, and other people, essential employees, that we don't have to count into that 250. The bottom line is we get approximately 100 tickets for away games. We get 150 of the tickets for home games, and that's a district football agreement. So everywhere we go, it's not true in every district, but our district decided that that's the way we're going to go to keep it uniform. So we'll have some uniform policies. As far as how we're going to distribute those, that's obviously up to each school. And if we've got 40 people in the meeting, we probably have 40 ideas on how it should happen. I got some input from the football coaches. Rich and I talked about it a number of times, and we looked at probably 6 different ways of doing it, and kind of all collectively chose to go with the priority or giving priority to family members. And then to weight that from upperclassmen to lowerclassmen. So your seniors, obviously, we understand this is your last year. We'd, if we're going to get grandparents into the game, somebody beyond mom and dad, it should be the senior grandparents or grandparents of seniors, and so on. So, and we're going to have a way to do this, but just to explain to you, because I know it's coming up here real quickly, we'll have 100 tickets to get into the Lacoparo game. Number one, it's important that we use all 100 tickets. I don't think that's going to be an issue. The one thing we don't want to have happen is you take tickets and then not go to the game. That's going to cost Lacoparo, when you're limited to $255 tickets, we're going to lose money every time that we host a game. It just doesn't pay for officials and workers and so forth. So if you're not going to use tickets, we're going to ask you not to request them. But for those 100 tickets, our plan is going to be that every senior player is going to get 4 of those, or up to 4. They can request up to 4. Juniors on the road, you can request up to 2. Sophomores, you can request up to 2 as well. Any extras in both scenarios, both home and away, there will be a system, and we'll do it systematically, hopefully fairly, to redistribute those tickets. So you might get them one game and not the next. But again, Dave's got a way to hopefully fairly do that, so that if maybe it means grandparents get in for one home game and not the next, but we'll do our best to keep that as fair as possible. We are not going to micromanage that. So if a senior takes 4 and only mom and dad show up for the game and they want to give 2 to 2 of their high school friends, like I said, I'd be busy the entire week just trying to navigate that. I'm not interested in doing that, nor do I have the time right now. So if you, again, the only thing we ask is that if you request the tickets and get them, that you make sure whoever receives those things ends up going to the game. At home with the 150, again, seniors 4, juniors, we're going to give you 4, and sophomores, we're going to give you 4 as well. Freshman parents, you didn't hear yourself in there. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get tickets. There'd be some priority, or there'd be some consideration if there's leftovers. And part of our deal is we're deciding we will probably not dress 9th graders on the road. Part of that is so that we can distance in the bus for those that take it. At home, they may have the opportunity to stand on the sidelines. It's obviously, they're not going to get a whole lot of playing time at the varsity game. You'll be able to get in and watch the JV games when they're doing most of their reps and their participation. So I know it's not perfect, but it's what we agreed on. Like I said, the leftovers systematically distributed. Coach Schuler, I know, is going to have a Google sheet. So how is this going to work? Some logistics. He'll have a Google sheet at the beginning of each week. I know this week's kind of late notice. I believe he has it out tonight. It's going to be important that you have a conversation with your kids because they're ultimately going to be responsible for signing up for those tickets. Now they can share that Google sheet with you and you can do it if you feel safer about that, but they're going to have to go on that Google sheet, request how many they want. Tomorrow at practice or after practice, Dave is going to hand out, we'll just call them vouchers. They're not actually your ticket to get into the game. They're a coupon or a voucher to go to the window at Lacoparo and purchase a ticket. If you don't have a voucher, you won't get into the game. It's kind of like a plane ticket. Don't go to the airport without it. Okay. They're not going to take an excuse like I forgot it at home because they're not going to want more than 250. And you can imagine the line of people who might have forgotten their tickets at home trying to get in. So those vouchers are valuable. Make sure that you bring them along. Once he has an idea, Coach Schuler, about how many tickets, like I said, if there's any leftovers, we'll take care of that. The coupons or vouchers are very specific. They'll give you the date, the time, the team, they'll make you put your name on it. If you read in there, unfortunately, it's a little bit of fine print. So I'm going to stress this. It's very important that you bring correct change. We don't want any cash exchanged other than you giving it to the ticket taker. We don't want to have to make change. So if you've got 4 tickets as a senior, have a $20 check or a $20 bill ready to hand off. As soon as you give your vouchers and your $20 bill, you'll get your 4 tickets to get into the game. I already talked about lower level games, I guess, as far as no tickets needed. I don't see that being a problem. Obviously, when we're at games, we're going to make social distancing shouldn't be a humongous issue with 150 people on our sideline. There'll be some other things that you see, some porta potties instead of going into the school that are going to have to be used. There won't be any concessions. We're going to strongly recommend that you wear masks at the game and make it mandatory that we social distance at least 6 feet. So that's the major points. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Dave, if you want to jump in, you certainly can. Otherwise, parents, if you've got questions about tickets, distribution, any of that stuff, I'll try to answer them right now as well.
I can jump in real quick. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what the Google Classroom looks like and what the spreadsheet looks like. Oh, I can't share my screen. Is it all right if you enable that or no?
I just did, so.
Perfect. Here you go. All right, so this is what our football Google Classroom looks like here. This is under classwork. So this is our stream right here. And then if underneath your players classroom, if you go under classwork, you'll see all the stuff that we have in here for them. And at the very top here, it's ticket sign up sheet. And what I've done here is I've individually assigned this to each kid, so they don't have access to see anybody else's numbers. It's all just yours. And all I can guarantee you is the number that is guaranteed. So 4 for seniors, 2 for juniors, 2 for sophomores. What I told your kids is if you want more than that, feel free to put that number down, but I can't guarantee you're going to get that number. Does that make sense? And so if there are leftover tickets, we'll start with seniors and alphabetically go down the list and try to get seniors first, what they request, down to juniors next, down to sophomores next, if we have any extras. If we don't have any extras, you're going to get what we originally agreed upon as far as 4, 2, and 2. I feel like that's the fairest way to go about it. Obviously, there's probably other opinions on that, but I think, seniors being their last year playing, they should have first dibs on any extra tickets that might be available. And then we'll work our way down the classman list as far as distributing any extra tickets that are available. So it is really important. As you can see, I have 5 already turned in, and then 5 that were turned in earlier today, 1 that got turned in since the end of practice here, and I have 38 more assigned. So it's really important that you go in there and talk to your kids about getting this filled out tonight, so that tomorrow I can hand out those vouchers accurately to the kids that deserve them and have filled them out. So, and I told the kids this too. If I see no number by your name, I'm assuming you want 0. And then those tickets will then be redistributed somewhere else, if that makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody.
And while you're having that conversation with your kids, remind them how important, there's that time from Dave handing out those vouchers to them getting them in your hands. And I've had kids drop Social Security cards on their way out of my office. So make sure they understand how important it is that they put them somewhere safe and that they get home to the parents, because I'm not lying when I say we have 100 and they're already in Dave's hands. So we can't print anymore. So it's important that they take care of those things. And the other comment I was going to make is, we're going to have people sign up for 7 and 8 tickets, 10 tickets, and I'm sure you could use them. Let me tell you, when you do the math, 100 tickets for an away game go really quickly. It's the chances of you getting too many more than what you ask for are probably pretty slim, just so you understand the expectations. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, please don't feel bad if you don't get what you request. I'm letting you request them, but again, like we have a finite number here with 100, and so we're going to do our best to distribute them as evenly and as fairly as possible. But our hands are kind of tied on this as far as letting any more than that go out. So not kind of, they are tied. we only get 100. So.
Any questions on tickets from the parents?
One question is there any children age limit that doesn't need a ticket, or of any individual of any age qualifies to need a ticket?
That's a good question. And it might put you in a tough spot if you've got really young siblings. You'll be looking for a babysitter. But as far as I know, I don't know what they do with an infant, Rich, but I think anybody is going to get counted towards that 250.
Yeah, I think a head is a head. It's a 250 based upon the youth and sports regulations. It's 250 people, and I really don't see them breaking that out now. I don't know if they'll police an infant or not, so.
I would take just a couple of seconds and talk about live streaming for those of you, obviously, who won't be getting into games that you'd like to. District football, we've got a sheet going around. It's basically Camden Conference teams for the most part. And everybody, including ourselves, are scrambling like crazy who don't normally stream football games to find a way to stream football games. And we're working on, our hardest thing is we don't have any hardwired connection out in our press box, which is a difficult thing to do on short notice. Plus it's a long ways from where we'd have to plug in. We're trying to get a strong wireless signal from the elementary building to the press box, which would allow us to take the same equipment used in the main gym out to the crow's nest. We've got some problems. Our crow's nest isn't set up beautifully for filming. The windows are a little small and it's tough to get inside the 20s. But with all that said, we're working feverishly to be able to live stream a number of events out there, even at obviously the varsity games. But if we can get it working and reliable, we're going to try to do some JV games, possibly even some junior high games. Although the priority isn't there for those two, because we're going to be able to, I think we're going to fit anybody that wants to see those games in. But for sure, the varsity games, we're going to try to live stream those. And if we're on the road, oftentimes those schools, if they've got live streaming capabilities, just like in the winter, they'll send us a link, probably more so this year than most. We'll share that link with all of our families. We'll put it on our Facebook page. A lot of times we send it out to everybody's email address. So if you want to find that link, it shouldn't be very tough to do. And if you're going to the game, great. If you can't go, you can watch it from your living room. You can share that with grandparents. Typically, all they have to do is click on the link. With one exception, if they use a Pixelot system or a fee-based system, much like state tournament games, there are some companies that operate on, like for ours with YouTube, it's free. Anybody can watch it for nothing. With the Pixelot system, for example, if you go out to, like Lacaparo may do that on their football field, it might cost you $7.95 to see that live stream. So don't be shocked if there are a few games, especially on the road, where if you want to watch it, you may have to pay that fee. Questions about live streaming or anything else?
Hey, Tim, it's Jeff Wilkie.
Question about the
Yeah.
cost of tickets, Tim. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I believe they're $5 at all locations, correct?
I should have said that. Yeah, that was part of making that cash exchange easy. Not typically the case, but a student ticket, an adult ticket, they're all going to be $5 this year. Just to make it easy for change. That's why I said if you've got 4, you got a $20 bill, just make sure you bring the correct change for however many tickets you got. It does say that on the vouchers that they are $5 tickets. So good question. Jeff?
Yeah, Dave said like leftover tickets, they're going to start back over with seniors and work down alphabetically. So say they make it to J, are they going to start there the next game, or are they going to start all over at A and work back down?
We're never
They
going
would start over. Or they would start
Yeah.
at J.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start wherever we
Just
dropped
wanna
off. Yeah, no, it's a good ask. And yeah, no, we'll start wherever we let off so that the next game, the next group of people will get the next shot at those tickets. So again, we're trying to make it as fair as possible. I wish we didn't have to do any of this, but it's the boat we're in. So we got to row it.
Thanks.
So I put something in the chat there too, and so some of you on your phone probably don't see that. We are recording this. If you know of someone that needs a copy of this because they're unable to attend or would like the information or want further clarification, please email myself or Mr. Knapper. We'll get that out to you so it can be viewed later. All right, not hearing any other questions. I want to thank everyone. Remember, we're just with the transportation thing, we're really just trying to impact it or minimize the chances. It doesn't guarantee, there's no guarantee, and we're not requiring you to do this. This you would do at your own choice, and we understand it may be an inconvenience, or not just an inconvenience, it might be an undue hardship for certain family. So that transportation will always be provided for these athletes. So I appreciate you taking time out of your evening. If you have other questions, please contact Mr. Knapper or myself. We'll try and field them and get information out to you as best we can. So thanks again. Have a great evening.